You know what was a problem with Donald Trump losing is?
That he doesn't believe he's lost?
That and the fact that there's no funny way to encapsulate how ridiculous this is.
Yeah, it's not funny anymore.
Do it to him,
Alright guys, welcome back to Relative Conscious. My name is Antonio Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
Shout out to our DJ for making the beat.
It's at DW Made That on all social media.
Follow us on social media at
Kinda Woke on Twitter and Instagram. Relatively Conscious everywhere else. Hit us with a like. Share with your friends. Make sure everybody knows, put them on the Kinda Woke tip. And subscribe. Follow us.
Yeah, I guess the question for today is Donald Trump the kingmaker in the Republican Party?
Yeah, because, we saw post 2016.
Yeah.
Or rather in 2018. But, he was always in campaign mode. So it was immediately after, 2016, inauguration 2017. He was still making it happen. But in 2018, my man was christening, blessing, knighting the new Trump ilk. Many of them lost, but his power was shown, his ability to sway popular opinion among the Republican Party.
Yeah, so the first question I have really is he the kingmaker? Because there's an argument given out that because he's a one-term president are considered to be losers, right? So Jimmy Carter, H.W. Bush, Nixon took 1-2 terms, but he resigned. So also and then
throw me a bone.
Ford, I guess, also is a one-term president too. Yeah. I guess the question is he considered to be a loser? Because the Republican Party's total line right now is that he hasn't lost or that it's not over yet.
We have at least 1 or 2 states that are already on track for a recount. And I believe the president may have legal challenges underway in at least 5 states. And President Trump is 100% within his rights to look into allegations of irregularities and weigh his legal options.
Right. So in reality, in the real world, electoral votes bear out the way they do. There's low likelihood of voter fraud, and even if there was voter fraud, according to their specific accusations, it's not enough to turn anything. So he has lost in real life.
Yes.
But if when it comes to being a kingmaker, it's about persuasion, it's about public opinion, it's about clout amongst the political elites or those who are political decision makers, and their reality doesn't necessarily matter. It's about the perception. And if I do lose functionally, if I'm no longer president, but the narrative is that it was stolen from me, I still have an out. I still have an avenue for me to control.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Yeah, and so the question is, Don Jr. went on, he tweeted this or went on air and said this. He basically called out all the Republican lawmakers and said, how come you're not coming to my dad's defense, and we will remember this in 2024.
Gang.
And therefore, Lindsey Graham came out and said that he was going to give it $500,000, and then Ted Cruz came out. I mean,
our favorite spineless Republicans.
Yeah, Ted Cruz. I'm sorry. I'm just,
he said Ted. Rafael Cruz.
Yeah, Rafael Cruz. If you can't say this, then I don't say anything at all.
Yeah,
but
there we go.
Ted Cruz.
I already called him spineless.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of other Republicans. Even Mike Pompeo today, the Secretary of State said there's gonna be a transition to the second Trump campaign.
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. All right, we're ready.
If it was a joke, second Trump term.
Yes.
If it was a joke, the joke doesn't make sense.
No. And
it's also not funny.
Yes, this is the actual presidential office.
Yeah.
And so if Trump is to be the kingmaker, I almost think he would have to resign. You have to. Of course, the rules don't apply to this man.
Yeah.
He really, time and time again, defying expectations, breaking rules, making rules. I'm rich and white. I do what I want to. But in order to wield clout, you can't be dragged out of the White House, literally or figuratively.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a bona fide loss. And a respectful concession would not validate his narrative. But, you know, in the eyes of his followers, he never loses. So if he does the respectful bow out, it's a vote in favor of his character, and then he can do, you know, purchase OAN, and now it's Trump news or whatever.
See, I think the problem is that base is where the issue is. Because if we look back when Kennedy and Nixon run against each other,
This
right?
is true.
When Nixon loses, he gives a concession speech, and his crowd's like, "Nah, like you didn't lose."
My congratulations to Senator Kennedy for his fine race in this campaign, and to all of you. I am sure his supporters are just as enthusiastic as you are for me, and I thank you for that.
And he's like, I trust the electoral process. There's some argumentation on whether that Illinois was rigged, but you know that's another conversation. Then when McCain loses, in 2008, his audience is like, no, don't do it, don't concede. They stole the election from you. He's a secret Muslim Kenyan, right?
I had the honor of calling Senator Barack Obama to congratulate him, to congratulate him on being elected the next president of the country that we both love.
And in 2012, same thing. And then even Mitt Romney said, well, if I was giving free phones with the people, I would have won the election too.
I have just called President Obama to congratulate him on his victory. His supporters and his campaign also deserve congratulations.
I will show my receipts for these comments. I'm not just putting things on Republicans. Y'all be saying these stuff.
Last night, I congratulated Donald Trump and offered to work with him on behalf of our country.
So anyway, the question becomes, can he not? I feel as if he can't go quietly. Because to concede would be to anger the base that put him into office. And this is where the establishment versus the base comes to head. Because I think the base feels that the election was rigged. They believe his words, the election was rigged. There was voter fraud. It's an issue. And then for Donald Trump did not lose, it was stolen from him. And for him not to go against that would just be like, you know, it's world shattering basically. And it makes no sense for him and his own intentions, what's good for him to go against that basically. So I feel as if the base needs him to fight, and the base would revolt against anybody who came out and said against him that you've lost.
All of these things are true.
Yes.
But Donald Trump makes his own rules.
True.
So even when not adhering to his own brand, his own word, he's still a winner in his followers' eyes. Prime example, it's only been a week. I was about to say last week. Only last week were followers in different parts of the country and Trump himself, when addressing different parts of the country, calling for voting to stop and simultaneously continue.
Yes.
So consistency is not an issue.
Yeah.
And for him to change his song from it's rigged to I'm going to trust the democratic process, but I'm going to disrupt from the outside is fine. And the Republican, you know, the typical Republican thing, as you explained, there is a trend of the base wanting, I guess, a contest or whatever, you know, some kind of legal rigmarole to question, you know, the election. And the actual politician being fair, he's not the actual politician every time. Like he doesn't have to do what Nixon or McCain or Romney or anybody like that. He does not have to do what they do. Yeah,
he can just be what he wants to be. And I get the feeling that I say he is the kingmaker of the future of the Republican Party, at least for the next up until the midterms. Now, if a bunch of his midterm candidates lose, I think that he stops being the kingmaker. But for right now, I feel as if the only reason why Ted Cruz has come out to say this is because he wants to run for president. The reason why Lindsey Graham's come out to say this because Lindsey Graham wants to run for president. The only reason why, you know, you got all these other people running their mouth in his support is because Mike Pompeo, who has been telegraphing for the longest amount of time that he wants to run for president. You know, Mike Pompeo is not going to be president.
He's not.
Yeah. But if all these people want to run for president, they all believe they must do this to get his base happy, then he is the kingmaker of the Republican Party.
And let's also keep in mind, not only are they still at his beck and call, all resistance is met with equal resistance from the kingmaker, right?
Yeah.
So, Marco Rubio, presidential hopeful, upon Donald Trump claiming victory prematurely, chastened him, and then upon the Biden being declared president elect, fell right in line with everybody else.
Yeah.
As he was chastened by the Trump administration.
Yes.
So, yeah, he maintains, which is uncanny. It's uncanny.
Yeah.
So the rules are different now. He maintains almost total control because, like we said, the base.
Yeah. Because it's funny, because when Jimmy Carter lost, that was the end of Jimmy Carter. Like, he was done.
It's a Democrat.
You know, and so even when LBJ loses, when LBJ doesn't run for a second term because he basically feels that the Vietnam War is too unpopular and he can't win a second term, LBJ goes and retires.
Bye.
Yeah.
Al Gore, gone.
Yeah.
Where is he even at?
Somewhere talking about climate change, right?
Yeah.
Now. But they've all, like, they do something else and they don't become the same. Even ex-presidents, you know, Bill Clinton was a campaign fundraiser for a little while. He's fallen out of favor as morals have increased. I think Obama probably would have more staying power.
He doesn't want to.
But he could, you know.
Oh, he could.
But I
waited to the last minute of the campaign to show up a couple times.
Yeah. I also he's much younger than most of these people, so you know he's got time. But
you would think he would stay active and then retire later, but he's like, yeah, I'm good, bro.
Yeah.
Y'all wore me out.
I'm going hang glide. But yeah, I do something different about this base, the Republican Party, that allows for people, or maybe just Donald Trump himself, that he allows for himself to continue to be an active force, even when he's thought to be out.
Leading force.
Yeah.
Like the force, the kingmaker, the decider, the Pope.
So what do you think is next? You know, I know they become obstructionists in Congress, but what's the identity of them? Is it just on the lips? That's just what the identity is going to be for the next 4 years. Is it a revert back to conservatism?
Right.
You know, like Reaganism or...
And yeah, so I think this is where we differ, because I argue that the base, because of the internet, shout out Gambino, because of the algorithm, shout out The Social Dilemma on Netflix, and you know the because Donald Trump has energized populism, like the Democratic Party flirts with populism, the socialism that is popular among the base, but it has not taken over.
Yeah.
Right. So the Democratic leadership in Nancy Pelosi still is of the traditional, of a traditional Democrat tradition, and there are plenty of the base voters who will follow in step. But because the populism has taken over the party, all of the traditional conservatives, many, not all, because some of them have voted for Biden, of course, causing his victory, but those who are advantageous, politicians that we already named, because they see the populist groundswell over their influence, it's more powerful than they are. They have already had to and have seen benefit from falling under the On the Libs tent.
Yeah.
And so if that's the new brand and all the environmental factors encourage it and conspiracy theory runs amok,
yeah,
I just don't know what force would bring that to an end.
Yeah. My thing is that I see, I want to believe there's a return to regular conservatism. I believe the problem is going to be that if they lose bad in the midterms, then it can be an issue and they can really have a discussion about it, right? Also, the Democrats in some way change their messaging, right? So they really reject, Joe Biden as a president really rejects his left flank, and owning libs is not really as possible anymore because the president, who is the leader of the Democratic Party, keeps telling y'all that, like, whatever the libs be saying, I'm not following that. Then you got to do something else, basically.
He's a Trojan horse.
Joe Biden has referred to himself as a transition candidate. And many were asking, transition to what? But last week, Democrats didn't talk very much about their agenda. And if I were them, I wouldn't either. I mean, Bernie Sanders did tell his followers that Joe Biden would be the most liberal president in modern times. In fact, he said, and I quote, that many of the ideas he fought for, that just a few years ago were considered radical, are now mainstream in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that argument is hilarious.
Yes,
but
I mean that sincerely because many, the Trump base, the Trump coalition believes that.
Yeah.
And I mean, we already know reality is not really a factor. And so if he is the kingmaker, then this mode continues ad infinitum. I don't know when.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question I have is, who is the Republican establishment?
The Bushes are cooked, so it seems.
They're retired. I mean, George tanks.
I know George is done. George is checked out, but
he's like, man,
Jeb got pushed out.
Yeah, he got kicked out
for being a real Republican.
Yeah. Please.
McCain is gone, and the new, well, not the new, but the leadership as it is now, still abdicates and very rarely checks because Trump, in being ridiculous, is himself seeking power and influence, and knows that actual, Republican ideas are his, gateway to doing that. Mitch McConnell can play into his hand. He'll play into Mitch McConnell's hand, and they'll all go along very well. So, I guess the Trump era leadership is now
the establishment.
Status quo. I'm forgetting the word, but they're the establishment now. Yeah,
because at some point you would think it'd be the think tanks, but I really feel as if the base,
they're almost useless.
Yeah, to the base is what Donald Trump says, and Mitch McConnell has never had.
Eggheads have no influence.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell never had enough influence to do what he wants to do. He just, if she's good at extracting enough to once he got a Republican president, he could just get them to do what he wants, right? And so really,
he's good at thugging his way into elections.
Yeah, but besides that, I don't really know anybody else who I would consider to be the establishment. Because even the head of the RNC has fallen under the Trump umbrella.
Yeah, they all have had to bow down. He's defeated everyone.
Yeah, and so even Mitt Romney is a voice on the side. A canary in the coal mine that people don't really want to hear that often. Even Susan Collins that's just that. I do think my prediction, and I know you is just terrified of you. I think Dan Crenshaw is being forced to be reckoned with in 2024 as a presidential candidate.
Y'all don't elect anybody coming out from Texas. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah,
y'all didn't mess with Beto. You lost. That was your last chance for any Texan, bro. Don't. I can't. The lies, the mendacity, the voter suppression. We cannot.
Yeah, because Ted Cruz is a joke, but there's a real thing about Texas Republicans.
Yeah.
The last Republican president the last Republican president before Donald Trump was a Texan.
You see where that got you, bro.
Yeah. But I really do believe Dan Crenshaw, as an ex-Navy, as a former Navy SEAL, he's got the Twitter game down. He's young. He's got a beard.
He's got an eye patch, so he's cool.
Yeah, I think he was on SNL. I really do believe that he is the dark horse candidate,
and he owns the libs with profuse lying. He owns the libs.
He's good. He's very good. They'll try to do Tim Scott. It won't work because the base is still racist.
Yeah, you're still black, Timothy.
Yeah, but Dan Crenshaw. That's and also I don't know how you can say anything bad about Dan Crenshaw without it coming off some type of.
So you hating on the soldiers basically. So you don't support the troops.
Yeah, basically, or Mike Pence. But I don't know. I think Mike Pence might go pastor at mega church. All right, my name is Antonio Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
Peace.